No,
Now
it's
he's
gone.
gone.
It's gone. It's my fault. It's my fault. I scared
Yeah,
him. Oh,
don't push
sorry,
him.
guys. Hey,
Hi.
Paul.
Hey guys, how are you?
Yeah,
How are you doing? Thank you for
nice to
joining.
have you here.
Busy
No
day
worries.
for you, eh?
Thanks for the invite.
Busy day for you. The streaming with Meld and then the town hall. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and then
Thank
I'm
you very much.
streaming with Mickey from World Mobile later on
Oh,
tonight on my well, actually in an hour and a half we're starting on my channel with Mickey, so it's lots of calls today.
We're gonna promise we're in time. We're gonna be in
yeah.
time.
Yeah, we'll be. We'll
I
be.
shouldn't
We'll be
say
on
we're
hour.
gonna promise. And Dan, you're
How
here too?
Only in spirit.
All in spirit.
That's a
Also
good
a
good
busy
one.
day, I guess, Dan.
Wonderful. So
Hello.
the room is filling. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Hi.
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 Hey, Seda, how are you? Nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is
Welcome.
wonderful. So we're just missing. Oh yeah, it's filling. It's filling. People are dropping in. That's wonderful. Absolutely great. Let's change. Say hello to everyone for a second. So,
Yes.
Simon, hi.
Yeah, hi everybody.
Yeah, we can hear
Can
you
you hear me?
perfectly.
Yes, we can
Yeah,
see
perfect.
you and hear you.
Perfect.
Good to
Nice.
see
Perfectly.
you again, Simon. Last time it was during the summit, I think in Lausanne.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
True.
hope you're doing well.
I have been a lot in the recent weeks. I think Twitter has been very active, and yeah, a lot of things are happening.
Yeah,
Um,
great.
True. True that.
oh,
Yes.
Awesome. So, as you see, we have a little bit of a rebranding currently. It is a more um, matching image to what we're currently actually doing. We are going more into a fireside chat because we thought town hall always sounds too much official.
Yeah.
And this is a friendly space for founders, for SPOs, for um, presenters, for all the good members that we have in the community. And you should feel welcome. And that's why we had a little bit of a rebranding. So this is an amazing town hall today. Oh, no, it's a fireside chat. It's still in there. We have Cerberus, we have Cardano with Paul. I mean, who doesn't know him? And we have Zengate. I mean, three legends in the space. And yeah, let's kick it off, I would say. Um, Let me share the screen. Where are
Please do.
you coming from? Where's everybody tuning in from?
From Japan, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
Incredible.
same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm tuning in from outside of Osaka, where the reception is always terrible at night.
We know
Oh,
Daniel.
really?
Yeah, yeah. For some
Amazing.
reason, I don't know. It just I just can't get really good internet out here. Doesn't matter how much I pay. Doesn't matter how many people I bribe.
I have the same issue, but I'm living in a very small village in Italy now, so it's more natural for me. I had to take Starlink to get connected. Otherwise, I had no chance.
I
But
wish
it's
I had
working.
Starlink. I think I'm using what am I using? AU Hikari, something like that. It was something that costs more than it should.
Yeah, let's start. Um, we have our own mantra, as you want to say, our claims. That is one is so important without Cardano and Run. Keep your nose up to date. Try to study and learn something new every day. I think that's so easy in Cardano. Support and connect with community members for synergy and goals. And this is a cross-chain thing. I mean, we're not only one little ecosystem. Be inclusive, friendly, and wise with words, even in anger. And this is so important. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that. Share information without destroying dreams, people, or the reputation. And I think this is incredibly important with the current situation that we have in Catalyst. There are proposals that might be disputable, but keep it friendly, guys. That's so important. And then let's kick it off with Paul. He's incredibly valuable. Everybody knows him. He's always up to date. I think it's even daily, right? You publish daily.
It depends on the week. I suppose some weeks I could have a video out nearly every day, and other weeks it might be a bit more spread out. Generally, the ones I try and definitely get out is an update video every Friday, kind of the latest things I've seen in the Cardano community, and then during the week there might be some looking at individual projects or interviews or stuff like that. So it's good. I enjoy meeting new people, finding out what others are building out there, and lately it's getting harder to keep up with everything that's going on in a good way.
Great. So for those people who don't know you, what is the channel URL on YouTube? Is it also Cardano with Paul?
Yeah, the name of the channel is Cardano with Paul. So I have the channel, I run Stakepool, but I have the channel which most people are probably more familiar with than the SPO side, even though the channel came about as started the Stakepool and done the channel to do some tutorials about how things worked and how to delegate and stuff like that. And it kind of snowballed from there. So that's where it all came from.
And the pool ticker is Paul. So if you're going
Yeah.
to Sea Explorer, then just type in Paul and you'll find him. And be a happy delegator. Paul, we have an attack on you. Do you want to do the co-hosting today and interview our guests?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Whatever way you guys want to, it's your show. Whatever way you guys want to do it.
Yeah, I mean it's our old show. So we keep it friendly. We usually have the format of like 15 minutes, including Q&A. We have to extend it a bit today, probably, because there's a lot of content to be told, and we keep it casual, but you can guide the conversation if you like to.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. We just did a video with Paul not too long ago. I think what, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that. 2-3 weeks ago, I think it was fairly recent anyway. So I was just to kick things off, I was just saying if you want to give an introduction to what you guys are trying to do with the commodities and tokenization and everything.
Sure. So just to give a brief overview of what Palmyra is. So Palmyra is the flagship product of Zengate Global, which is the company that I founded with Sam Lambert, who is, sleeping soundly in his bed right now and seeing sweet dreams of sushi or whatever else. And so our flagship product is Palmyra. So Palmyra is a tokenized commodity DEX. And what that means is that it's a tokenized commodity platform that is geared towards what we call underserved commodities in emerging economies. And so what does that mean? Well, traditionally, commodities enjoy a wide range of market access, wide range of services and value-add services that are available to them, various value vehicles like trading, trade financing, things like that. And so you get traditional commodities like gold, silver, coal, grain. So things that I'm sure a lot of you know that you see traded on the commodity exchanges and the stock market in the form of futures. And so this is, a large industry, billions and billions and trillions of dollars. And so they have a lot of market access. They have a lot of access to finance. You can do a lot. There's a lot of infrastructure there. However, you also have what we call underserved commodities, which are also a multi-billion-dollar field of commodities that are not exactly applicable in the traditional commodity trading sense because they're not as fungible as traditional commodities. And so those are teas, coffees, various precious stones and metals. Again, different types of grains. Even pharmaceutical ingredients, even things that say you might see in a traditional commodity exchange such as gold, but in a different purity standard, which is also very common, say for Thai gold. which is something that is got a big following, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Thailand is known for its unique gold alloys. And so the platform aims to represent these commodities, and a lot of these commodities come from emerging economies and emerging markets. And so Thailand, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asian markets, various Eastern European markets as well, South and Central American markets, African markets. So there's a lot of different places where these come from. So what we do is we create access for these commodities. We create something where they can have market access, wider market access, access to value-add services, access to trade finance, access to various vehicles like traceability, for example, for leveraging through contracts, like say futures contract and speculation in that sense. And so all this happens through tokenization using NFTs. And so essentially what we do is we tokenize using NFTs and NFT lots, and then assign various tools to it, like traceability information, like various other information, things like certifications, for example. And all these various things create a great value vehicle for these underserved commodities to basically enjoy this wider range of access that they don't have before, they haven't had before. Essentially, we're creating what we call opportunity inclusion. So that's essentially what Palmyra is about.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a good overview. Anyone else want to ask any questions on Zengate or Palmyra or anything that's going on? I see Simon.
I would absolutely love to ask a question. So first of all, this is one of the coolest projects I have encountered in a while. And one thing that I'm asking me now, so it's a commodity exchange basically. You also need liquidity to to have a liquid commodity exchange. So will we Cardano users be able to participate and, for example, provide liquidity for certain pairs? Is that a thing? And also you mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, you future contracts, which again need liquidity, right? And there's a lot that you can help people with insurances based on future contracts, and there's so much here. Yeah, maybe can we play? Are we allowed to join in a way as normal users?
Daniel, I'm not sure if you're talking. You're on mute still.
Well, I'm talking, but I'm using my telepathy powers, and so maybe some of you guys didn't hear me. But anyway, yes, absolutely, you can join. And in fact, the way that we designed it is to be able to combine Web3 and Web2 opportunities. And so, for example, what you said is providing liquidity. Actually, yes. So one of the key components of Palmyra is a trade financing and DeFi platform that is going to be utilizing and leveraging DeFi to provide trade financing to producers. And so this is something that it's got a lot of demand right now. For example, in Sri Lanka, they constantly utilize trade financing. And so this is something that's constantly done. They do this with every single crop. There's a system there. The banks lend, the brokers lend. Well, this is something. This money is being lent at 30% interest. So these guys are constantly paying 30% interest on money that they have to borrow. And so one of the opportunities we create is basically access to DeFi and access to liquidity, to crypto liquidity to create borrowing opportunities for these businesses that are legitimate businesses that you can access records off, you can see immutable data about as a lender. And we will bring these opportunities to people who are looking to provide liquidity for them. And the entire industry does this, but there's already a lot of demand for this. So that's just one of the opportunities. Another one would be trading. And again, the whole idea about tokenization is to create an easy vehicle for these commodities to be speculated upon, just like we do with traditional commodities. because you again have all this data already assigned to it, right? So you don't have to create these extensive indexes or whatnot that you would have to do with traditional commodities. Here you already have this data assigned. So you have future forward contracts you can trade, speculate and trade on. Forward contracts you can speculate and trade. And again, this is going to be part of Palmyra. The trading platform is going to be part of Palmyra. This again something that is Cardano users and basically anybody who utilizes the system can have access to and then can enjoy the benefits of.
Great. Yeah, these are the type of projects I want to see more of in crypto that bring in what's, I suppose, termed as real fi, where the yield that is earned by people who provide the liquidity is actually coming from real world use cases. And the more of these types of, I suppose, companies come into crypto, I think the more legitimate crypto is going to look to people on the outside who have never gone down the rabbit hole, like I presume everyone here on the call. And there was one other one Ricardo had said in the chat. I don't know if this was for Xerberus or for yourselves about catalyst proposals. Do you have catalyst proposals in? And
exactly, yeah, in the direction of Daniel and Zengate. I understand you guys have created a couple of proposals for Fund 10. Maybe you could give us a brief overview what they are about and what do you expect from the community, and yeah, how this fits into the existing solution.
Sure, absolutely. So we actually have 3 proposals in Fund 10. So the first one is what we call a new SPO stream, a new income stream for SPOs. If somebody would be kind enough to put some links in there, maybe Theo can do it for us. Put some links into the chat for the proposals. So the first one is actually in collaboration with the Rosenbridge team. The Rosenbridge team is an Ergo. It's an Ergo-led team. So Ergo, the blockchain Ergo. Some of you might know, some of you might not know. I would say it's a symbiotic relationship with Cardano because a lot of the Cardano technology was actually born and tested on Ergo. Like for example, the smart contracts that the smart contracts logic that we use, for example, native assets. Even JED was actually based on AgeUSD and SigUSD, which are Ergo native assets. And so a lot of innovation comes out of Ergo. And so the latest piece of innovation that came out is what's called the Rosenbridge. And so Rosenbridge is it's a completely new basically almost a ground up rework of bridge architecture. It creates a network of what they call watchers and guards that are actually they're validating transactions that are going through, increasing well basically first of all increasing security assumptions and basically increasing security and altogether. So a just I mean it's true innovation. There's something you can check out. There's a lot of information out there from the Rosenbridge team just on the architecture and how it works. And so the proposal that we put out is actually it's intended to create tooling for SPOs to become watchers and guards. And essentially, what happens is when you become a watcher and a guard, watcher or a guard for the Rosenbridge ecosystem, there is income that comes from validating transactions between chains. And the way that you can involve yourself in this is very modular because you can maybe work on, you can validate for various different chains. You can validate for between Ergo Cardano and Binance Cardano, Bitcoin Cardano or whatever. You might want to just concentrate on one chain. Like for example, you might want to create you want to spit up a validator node for say Monero or something like that. So there's a lot of really really great opportunity there. And so again, all this opportunity comes with a potential income stream for utilizing your infrastructure. Now, can anybody be a guard or a watcher? Yes, but the SPOs are the most viable candidate for this because they already have the infrastructure to do this. And so it's actually a very it's a very minor leap to be able to utilize your infrastructure for this. So again, this will create a much more robust income stream for the SPOs. It'll create it creates some new, access to new opportunities and new technology. And so, yeah, just in general, a really, really exciting proposal to put through, because we know that SPOs right now, especially in this market, I mean, it's tough. It's not an easy job. Some of my really good friends are SPOs, and so I know how tough it is right now with delegation. And so to create this new income stream, it feels really good to be able to bring this. Aside from the fact that Rosen is just amazing architecture. So the second proposal, first of all, does anybody have any questions on the first part?
And I also put all the links on the chat as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would have one. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, like if you said you could validate on multiple chains, and what you're trying to build, do you have to spin up nodes on both chains then, or is it enough to have a Cardano node?
It's enough to have a Cardano node. So it's, like I said, it's a modular architecture.
That's pretty cool.
You could concentrate on one, but you don't have to go to the other side and spin up a node on that side. So the network on that side can interact with you.
But you probably would have to create a more robust infrastructure as an SPO. Probably have to up the game a little bit.
I wouldn't say it. I mean, I wouldn't even say you have to up the game. I mean, you just have to really have. You already have the infrastructure to do this, basically. It's SPOs are perfect candidates for this because you already have the infrastructure to be a watcher or a guard. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it's a very minor step to be able to do this. And part of the proposal is creating the tooling that you need to be able to add this particular opportunity to your infrastructure.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Right. So I actually saw somebody else had a question.
Well, I think it was answered by what Marcus just asked.
Okay, great, great. Okay, yeah. So let me jump to the next one, because I mean, I don't want to take up all the time, and plus, I tend to go in what one of our team members calls soliloquies. So I'm trying to keep it, nice and short-ish, so that others have chance to go. So the next one is also a really exciting proposal. So this is a proposal in the Atala category that has to do with rapid ecosystem building and onboarding using Atala technology. And what we're concentrating on is the tea industry, because, I mean, we know the tea industry, and so we can build a prototype on the tea industry, inside the tea industry, that can then be utilized for other industries. And so what this is basically what we call a blueprint, a playbook, right? To be able to create a minimum viable ecosystem for nationwide or industry-wide rollouts of Atala technology, or essentially any Cardano technology. Things that have to do with this, things that have to do with traceability, things that have to do with tokenization, or RWAs, things like that. So the reason for this is because, well, I mean, one of the things that was always really, I guess, I mean, I appreciate it a lot, but always kind of took me a little bit like by surprise, is how many people thought that my work at IOG, and I don't know if some of you are familiar with the work I did at IOG, some of you are not, but I worked in emerging markets for quite a while there, probably starting from like 2018 and up until I left last month, or this month. Well, yeah, last month. And so, I've done quite a few nationwide projects. We did a project in Georgia. We also were working as a company in Ethiopia. We also did some work in Central and South America. I also did one of the first deals for authentication through Cardano with New Balance. This is back in 2018. And so the feedback that I got quite, quite often was like, "Wow, Dan, this is like it's like magic, that you make these deals happen." And the same thing with Sri Lanka. How did you get this level of access in Sri Lanka? How did you do it? It just seems like it's like voodoo, and it really isn't. You see, it's actually something that quite a few people can do if you only have a playbook and you only understand that this is not magic. This is a system that you follow to enter these jurisdictions, to roll out these solutions, and to create mass adoption of this technology. And so this is why this proposal is super exciting, because that's what we create. We'll create a playbook that anybody in the ecosystem can use to be able to make these large scale rollouts without taking away the guessing game out. So that's what we call a minimum viable ecosystem, because that's what you need to create in order to be able to roll out successfully and to be able to create mass adoption successfully. And so the third and final proposal is our what we call the Winter Protocol, and this is actually the tokenization and traceability protocol, leveraging NFTs, that is going to be powering Palmyra, that we are going to actually modularize and port over into Cardano, and basically open source it for Cardano to be able to use, and so anybody in the ecosystem will be able to use it's a very light, very easy to use, very modular, very but still robust traceability and tokenization protocol. And yeah, you can use Cardano assets to tokenize whatever you want to tokenize, trace it, get all the data down, and just do whatever you need to do. Create your own magic with this. So again, this is another really exciting opportunity just for us to be able to kind of share our tech with the community and to be able to create a tool set for the community to utilize, and again, to create these opportunities for mass adoption, because that's what we really need in Cardano. We need to go out there. We need to make these big steps. We need to make these big rollouts. We need to capture industries. We need to capture jurisdictions. We need to get people talking. We need to get people using. So that's it in a nutshell. If I don't know, does anybody have any questions?
I see there was one more just in the chat from Simon about how does Palmyra deal fiat on and off ramps and compensate for high inflation in local currencies? We might move over to Xerberus then after this one.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially, what we're doing in with Palmyra is we're starting with and I know that some blockchain purists are not going to like this answer, but we're starting with traditional payment rails. So we are starting with bank transfer, credit card payments, Revolut payments, things that they're already familiar with. And so these rails are actually equipped for handling for handling these discrepancies, arbitrage, these inflation events. What we're also actually doing is, say, for example, in Sri Lanka's case, one of the requests that we got from the Sri Lankan tea industry is to bring dollars into the country. So they actually want to do business in dollars. And this is a natural progression of, while your currency is kind of volatile, the dollar isn't. We'd like to bring dollars into the country. So that's also what we're going to be doing. We're going to be creating opportunity for these producers to be paid in dollars. So again, mitigating volatility of their local currencies. After that, we actually even had requests, and it was kind of interesting. We had during our workshop in Kandy, which is a central province of Sri Lanka, Kandy with a K, not a C. They one of the and we didn't mention crypto at all. In fact, we don't mention blockchain at all when we talk to producers. We just talk about utility, and that's another thing that you really have to focus on when you present these solutions to the masses. And so we're talking to these guys, and we're talking about payment solutions that you'd like to integrate. And the guy from the back says, "Hey, so can you do Binance USD?" Like, the what now? Like, yeah, Binance USD. The stable coins. Like, yeah, we could do that. You guys want stable coins? Oh yeah. Like 4 or 5 people. Oh yeah. We want stable coins. Okay. So yeah, it's a combination of solutions. It's not like one solution. It's a combination of solutions. It has to be really nuanced for the region. For Sri Lanka, we know what to do. In other regions, we pick it up as we go. We workshop with the users, we workshop with the producers, we understand what their needs are, and we incorporate it into the UX.
Great. I think we'll probably move over to Xerberus to make sure they have time to go through the project. Marcus, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think you're running into open doors somehow in Sri Lanka. Could that be? Because there was a lot of hope over the last years, and then the government literally crushed it. So I think crypto might be a good vehicle there to do something good. Is that how I understand it?
Working with a lot of these economies, I mean, you kind of have different, a different wrapper of the same kind of problem, and it usually is lack of infrastructure, lack of digitization, and a lack of processes that can be vetted and verified. And so, yeah, I mean, we are actually getting a lot of cooperation in Sri Lanka just because of that, because we are bringing something to them that they see can make things better for them. The politicians are on our side because they see that if we do this for their constituents, they're going to also benefit from this. So we got support like that. So again, it's very nuanced. Yeah, and over there it is definitely there's been quite a there has been turmoil over there. Although the country itself is when you actually go there, it's very stable, very laid back. You don't feel like there's like craziness or anything like that. But they did have a few kind of government turnovers, and in the end, people just want to they just want to live. They just want to have the same opportunities as everybody else, and that's what we're going to bring them.
Okay. Yeah, there's one more question that's come in here from Sierra. Are there any regulatory concerns, e.g., licensing, you need to deal with?
So in Sri Lanka right now, we don't actually need to have any licenses. We do what we call the middle out approach, and what that means is when we enter jurisdiction, and this is something that I've learned from working in with Cardano and with IOG in the past, and this is what we're doing with Zengate, and that is when we enter a jurisdiction, we work with organization and agencies and regulatory agencies and government agencies to be able to kind of create a movement framework for us where we actually work with them. We actually take into account any kind of certifications that they need for us to have. And so that's what we did with Sri Lanka. We went in there. We're working with the T board, which is the government entity that regulates tea trade. We're also getting a lot of support from the Ministry of Agriculture and the Minister of Agriculture, the National Minister of Agriculture, and the State Minister of Candy. Yeah, it's just it's not like just a straightforward type of process. You really have to be there. You really have to understand. You really have to understand how the industry works. You don't want to step on anybody's feet, but yet you want to find a way of how to have the most impact with the least amount of pushback. And that's what we're doing. We're working with them. We're transparent about what we're doing. And in the end, I mean, you can't beat transparency. Anybody can bullshit around, but if you're always transparent in any type of jurisdiction, all you can say is, well, oh, but these guys, but these guys are for real, and that's the kind of perception that we have over there. They know that whatever we bring, we're very transparent, we're very straightforward. We don't bullshit around, we don't hide anything, and that's why we're getting the traction that we're getting.
I think that's a very good segue into the next project we're going to talk about with transparency and cutting through the bullshit a lot of the time. So who wants to give the introduction to Xerberus? If I'm pronouncing that right, correct me if I'm not.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, you are pronouncing it. Right, it's like the hellish dog with three heads, just with an X. It's Xerberus. And yeah, guys, thank you so much to give us the opportunity to speak here, and especially to Daniel. Hearing was such a cool project. It's just humbling to also speak on the stage. So what is Xerberus? Xerberus is trying or is solving one of the biggest problems in traditional finance. The one problem that beside banks caused the 2008 financial crisis, that you can sell in financial asset and say, oh, it has this probability to default, and then in the end you're way off, and somebody else, got paid to advertise that financial asset with that certain risk category. And so it is a problem in traditional finance to really understand, okay, what is in all of these financial products, and especially as financial products become more complex, you have emergent behavior, and that is that is an existing problem. A lot in financial risk rating and credit rating is very opaque. It's not very transparent how these ratings come together. A lot of things, should have been changed or should have changed after 2008. But when you actually check the last credit rating that Credit Suisse had before it defaulted, you will also understand that that wasn't true, right? And there's a question if you there's a need to create very transparent risk ratings, and we believe that this is not only one of the largest problems in traditional finance, but it's also one of the missing pieces for the mosaic of DeFi. And actually, it would also help Daniel and his project in a way, because as we expand DeFi and with more and more risk cases, right? The question is always, hey, I give a trading loan. I provide liquidity for commodity pair. What is actually my risk here? What is the actual risk of that loan to default, or that commodity to tank in price so much that I'm losing my money? Or the adverse selection risk, which is called impermanent loss in crypto, which is that, okay, I provide liquidity for two pairs. So there's so much risk. And if you want to understand what Xerberus is in a very, very simple way, is we're building a pretty huge risk engine that our advisors are all hedge fund managers. They look at that and be like, yeah, that's a very neat risk engine that you have there, and we make it accessible to everyone. So that's the vision. We create this one risk engine that everyone in this call, everybody who watches this video, everybody can build on, and that is the vision. Because what we need for crypto and for decentralization, for this vision that we have to become that global force, we have to make it safer to be here. And we have to make it more transparent. Everybody talks about transparency, right? We have transparency in crypto. Like the transactions are all there, but nobody can read it, right? And there is effective transparency and there is theoretical transparency. Right now we have theoretical transparency, but we don't have effective transparency. And that is where Xerberus comes in, where we build this gigantic quantitative model that everybody can plug in. The basics. So now I'm already sorry for the product. Most of it, like a big part of it, will be free because we want that crypto safe. And people often ask us, our advisors and other people and potential investors always ask us, so why don't you do a hedge fund? And the thing is, yes, we could that. That are the engines that you build hedge funds on, but we don't want to build a hedge fund because we want to make crypto safer. Nora, I don't know if you want to just quickly jump in, because I've my co-founder here was
Yeah, I can
jump in for a moment.
Just to reiterate a little bit what Simon said. So another problem with the credit rating agencies in general is that they're inherently subjective, right? You have these analysts or these people who are deciding what is good and what is bad, and they have to do that because the real world data is much more messy than what we have. We have inherent truth that's stayed on the blockchain, immutable. Everyone can see it. Everyone can verify it. So what we try to do is we try to take those solid foundations that we have of immutable truth of this data and use only purely mathematical processes to convert it and find like the hidden metrics. Like, for example, we look for like Simon said earlier, like liquidity and maybe like how a token grows and how stable is this token. And these are the metrics, these mathematical constants are the metrics that we use to come to our risk scores. Therefore, having a bias-free risk score as well, right? Because it's just a mathematical process from raw data into some sort of metric that we can use to understand better the risk of these assets.
Okay, thanks for the intro. Yeah, it's when you're involved in crypto a lot of times, especially in something like Cardano that has the UTXO model, it can be very hard to even track funds to see where they're going. I've seen some things where you tracked wallets and being able to track the interaction or how closely linked certain wallets are. And for the normal everyday user, not even just the normal user, for most people, that's not possible to do yourself. Currently looking at block explorers, and all times I go looking to research projects and you end up just getting lost in what's going on. But is your product only for Cardano, or will it be across other blockchains too? Like when you're looking at projects, will you rate projects?
Well, we're so basically like you mentioned, like we've posted a couple times about like these wallets we've been tracking, and these patterns that the wallets track, that we find when we track these wallets, these patterns are consistent throughout all blockchains. And like a rug pull product is going to act like a rug pull product, and a legitimate product is going to act in a certain different way. So actually, the more data we have, the more accurate our scores become, because the more basically samples we have for our mathematical equation to tweak it and to make it more accurate. So yeah, like we already have like our model works on a ledger type model. So we already take the UTXO model, convert it into a ledger model, which is what every EVM chain is doing, and then we then do the risk score from there, from that point. So yeah, we're definitely going into a multi-chain. So I mean, I don't know if you want to expand more.
Yeah, I wanna. There's one thing that I always love to say. So we were starting to build our model, and we run into a problem, and that's the biggest flex that you can make as a Cardano, as a member of the Cardano community. Is we didn't find enough rug pulls to train the model, so we had to go on an EVM chain to just find more rug pulls that we can take and train the model of. I find it a beautiful thing actually that we don't have enough rug pulls. I mean, God bless us, right? It's good that we don't have them. So yeah, but I think it's a funny aspect of it.
Yeah, I think when we say that as well, it's always good to say that we are still early, that Cardano will have lots of them. Unfortunately, that's the way the crypto space is. But the beauty of a product like yours is that people can do a lot more research when they're looking into it. So you have Catalyst proposals too. Do you want to talk about what they look like?
Yes, indeed, and I just posted them. Let me know if you can see it, because somebody else was directly asking if you post them.
Yes, we
But
can
yes,
see them.
okay, perfect. We have two Catalyst proposals. One is for the Xerberus risk engine in of itself. So we will build this risk engine. We are already building it. We want to make a huge chunk of it, as I said, freely available, and also to a certain degree open source, because it's anyway it's mathematics. So everybody understands that, can come to the same conclusion. We just give it you, and this is also plays very strongly in that direction, that we want to build almost something like an DeFi, a part of the DeFi infrastructure stack, right? Something that you can plug into every other DeFi protocol thereafter, and that just does these risk calculations for you. So this one is out there. And the second one that we had, that was kind of a short-term thing, because a lot of you have been all on Twitter, right? You have seen that they sometimes use outbursts of emotions when it comes to catalysts. And we believe that a huge part of that is because nobody really has information. How well is money spent, or how is it going? And so what we're trying to build is, or what we will build if you guys vote for it, is a basic dashboard that everybody can use to basically see how many whales are actually voting. Like, is it really true that there are some whales who just make the decision for us, or is that not true? Right? It's very easy. And then secondly, to see how Catalyst funds are spent, right? And what is correlating with what, because maybe good projects are selling all their ADA and bad projects are hoarding it, or maybe the opposite is true, right? Maybe it's actually that good projects tend to pay their freelancers in ADA, right? And just we have these informations and to help us, because we love Project Catalyst, honestly, because I mean, for one, we hope that it will help us to find our project, but also, at least that's for me, my very, very first post on Twitter was me voting in 2019, long ago, or 20, for Project Catalyst. And I'm not sure about a year, but it was the first thing that I ever was doing in Cardano. And it's like I was feeling like, wow, this governance system allows me to just vote a stranger, right? To go on the internet, to just watch them and make a decision. Like, that was the most beautiful experience of direct democracy I've ever been part of. I think we should protect that. And that's also, Noah, do you want to add something?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's really about increasing the accountability and transparency in Catalyst itself, for the betterment of everybody, right? Like, we can avoid FUD by presenting data, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yep. Anytime you can replace opinions with solid data, then it's a lot easier to fight FUD and stuff like that. Then when you have something to actually back up. And I think the one I'd be very interested in there is on the voting side of seeing what wallets actually vote and how many wallets actually voted for one proposal to get approved, because you never know who's voting, or look what incentives there is for certain whale wallets to vote for certain proposals. So I think Marcus has his hand up there.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, you can see that actually in Xerberus Discord. The tone there is very friendly, it's very mature. It's not a when XYZ or XYZ tone. It's just and there is actually, for those who have the Xerxa NFT, there is an extra space for those who want to actually participate in the research. So it's a really, really nice approach. It's a different kind of approach to be actually an active part of this. So this kind of sounds like a shill, but I just want to emphasize that this is a much more mature approach that I've so far seen in many projects, where we usually have just, oh, we just build a community, we're going to be happy ever after. No, it's just a discussion base, and the guys have something in mind. They want to build it, and they're building it, and I really appreciate this. I'm popping by every other week or every now and then, and I just see there's so much been happening. So that's why I really, really enjoy those discussions and love hearing them. And you learn, you just learn, and that's cool. Everybody's in there to learn. It's kind of like a fireside chat with a more mathematical approach.
I appreciate the sentiment, Marcus. Yeah, just to respond to Paul when you're talking about the voting. So actually, when it comes down to it, the voting itself is anonymous. All we really know is the number of wallets who voted, the amount of ADA that was voted for, the amount of projects or proposals, and how much each proposal got in voting. But we don't really know exactly which wallet comes to which wallet, right? This is where the statistics and our mathematical methods come in, because it's what it basically comes down to is a giant combinatorial problem. Sorry, that's a horrible word for me. Where you have to kind of match and mix and match the balances of the wallets who voted with the resulting ADA that came out of the vault itself. And we won't come down to exactly like saying, oh, this specific whale voted for this specific project, because that data is unfortunately just anonymous, right? But what we can do is we can come down to statistics and say, listen, this vote for project A, for proposal A, has statistically more wallets that are available to it that are closer to this whale than this next project, and it gives you a bit more of a discussion ground to say, okay, what are these? What is the statistical chance that whales are actually influencing the whole project versus what is it if it's more open? And then once we have this notion of statistical like percentages, we can then try to promote that line to go the way we want it to go. So we can do things in the community to make smaller wallets, for example, participate more, or etc.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I've seen Daniel on some of his tweets talking about that we will have more transparency on who votes and that type of thing going forward too, and maybe some of the future rounds where we'll get more data on or more information on what wallets are voting for which proposals, which I think can only help Catalyst, because there's lots of fighting, talk, whatever you want to call it, about Catalyst, whether it's good or bad or what way it should work. And I don't think it's fully right now, but I don't have better solutions. I don't think there's a perfect solution for something like this. So it's going to go through iterations. I think one thing will be great with Catalyst, and I'm sure from project side, is regular set where you know that every 4 months there's going to be a new round of Catalyst. So you can actually try and plan out your project and plan out where you can apply for funding, rather than we had a big stop there, which during a bear market would have really affected a lot of different projects. So let's see where it goes. I don't know if the real hosts of the show here have any questions or where you want to go next on this.
If
maybe we can have
go on.
No, just saying maybe if Catalyst is every 4 months, maybe we can do voting by milestone or something like that. So if you don't complete your first milestone in enough time, maybe you get only 10% of the next one until you complete the first milestone, and then you can get the rest or something like that. Yeah, there's lots of ways that we could improve a catalyst, and with like the increase in transparency that will come, the dashboard we are giving in our catalyst program will also match that and give more and more data as more and more data comes available.
Yeah, I
That's
think what
nice.
Simon said there about how the funds are spent and what they do with them would be a really interesting one to allow people to decide whether they think that team should be funded again when it comes to the next voting rounds too.
Yeah, yeah, and when it comes to that as well, like we all know that 99% of those funds will go straight to a SEX to be sold off to be used for real USD or whatever the native currency is. But tracking those funds, what we'll attempt to do is look for the people who aren't doing that. For example, who are selling off some of it, but then using the other to buy NFTs on a marketplace, or maybe transferring into a centralized exchange, and then we have another transaction with the exact same USD value, but in Ethereum, and then they go buy NFTs there, and we see no results from the Catalyst program. All these types of cross-chain tracking is a bit complex, and we need a lot of processing power for it. But I mean, crypto market is still a relatively small market in general. I know there's like millions and millions of wallets, but that's small compared to other larger problems. So we still have a chance to be able to track these types of actions and monitor them, so we can try to promote better and more clear rules for the future.
Yeah, it's actually a suggested process by Catalyst that you should sell off the funds right away when you receive them.
Yeah, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, but I have as much as Simon has said, I have a slightly different idea of that too, because I think if you leave it in the system, it's not a bad idea either, right? And maybe you have another approach. Maybe you have the possibility to fund yourself, but you say, okay, you want to get paid in ADA for what you do, and
Right.
I think that's a proper way of viewing it too. But that's me. That's me.
I was actually listening to a space earlier today about something. I think it's called ADA bounties, if I'm not mistaken, and it's basically like a Fiverr on that you can use to get that you can do on Cardano. So people
Mhm.
offer their jobs and their services, and you can pay them in Cardano, and maybe we can try to encourage that type of thing and using your ADA for those types of things, because that's also, we can then verify that you spent this money to actually pay a developer. And that might be best practices to go and try to use the ADA as much as possible as ADA in the community before selling it off in a SEX.
Yeah.
Uh,
Rodolfo, just chime in.
yeah, I was like, wait, I have my hand up. Anyways, I like I get you, and I was thinking about that myself. With if we get funded, how would we manage it? And I understand why selling it off is makes sense, because you sell it off at the market price and you can plan your costs accordingly. It's the safe thing to do, quote unquote. But in a previous startup, I actually remember saying, okay, we got funded. We need to manage our funds as if we had like a CFO. Um, we shouldn't keep them all in an account. We need to be smart about the yield that we're using with this as we slowly decrement and do payments out. And I remember my partner at the time saying, "No, it's in British pounds. It's the most stable currency in all the world." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, but let's put 10% in Bitcoin." It was some time ago. Yeah, I'm old. And 2 weeks after that, Brexit happened, and and the pound just crashed. So my long story short, my plan is to go 30% Jed and some percent Shen, and work off it like that, and see who wants to be paid in ADA and so forth. Because I really do believe that the first steps of changing our like this connection to fiat or our way of thinking is literally moving on to the blockchain, and it's perfectly possible on Cardano, right? And Ethereum, it's like the fees are too expensive, and it just works. I don't know. Sorry, long rant there.
No, that's cool.
Well, no,
That's
I agree with
exactly
you.
what we're here for.
Yeah, and I think, for example, like the Ape Society's development team has proven time and time again that they are good developers, right? And I'm 100% positive they would accept ADA for their work, given the correct price. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with ADA as ADA on chain, and I think we should really encourage that as much as possible.
Yeah, and I
Because
suppose
of
in
where
this,
you are in the market, right?
sorry,
Who was that?
no, it's fine. Go
Was it
ahead.
Marcus? Yeah.
No, it was not
It
me.
also depends where you're in the market, right? If you're right now in the bear, like I would say we are maybe towards the bottom of the bear market. Maybe it goes down 30%, but I don't think it goes down another 70% from here, right? So there is an argument to keep ADA because if if it goes up and if you start to have a positive sentiment, it goes up by 40-50%, right? And you already extended your runway potentially. So it does make sense. However, one warning word that I would have to add is if you're building right, like that, you already said it, Rodolfo. You said it seems like a CFO, but and this is why companies have a CFO. A lot of people don't know what a CFO is doing. It's doing exactly that. It's doing liquidity planning. Now, how do you offset your debt, interest payments? Where do you take external capital, and how do you leverage? And it's exactly what the CFO would do. But I think most people are bad traders. I'd say that with all respect, and I include myself in it, right? And that's just it. And I think we should not. If a few people do that, kudos. They should like really try to get the most out of it. But I think we shouldn't expect it from people, and people shouldn't feel bad for moving ADA immediately to a centralized exchange and selling it off just because they. Like the life situations are so different, and certain people just have to pay an employee that month, and I think we have to look into the data really and what's possible and what correlates with most successful behavior and what kind of things we want to incentivize. But before we have that, I would give both strategies my blessing, in a way.
Yeah, I think it's also it comes down to like we're all in the ADA community, so we all believe to some extent of the success of ADA in some way. So maybe like Simon's very correct. Like at the end of the day, you got to pay your bills, right? And you got to pay your server costs, and that you can't pay in ADA yet. So there's definitely maybe there shouldn't be like any downsides of paying for a sex, but if you can find ways to maybe like we all believe what I'm thinking is like we all believe in ADA, right? So ADA then therefore becomes a constant with all our minds, no matter what the price is. So then you can pay people in respect to that common constant and not in respect to the original value. But again, that doesn't pay bills too much, but that really helps community.
Yeah.
What
Just
what
one
just to
second,
add,
David, just in between. Paul, you said you have an appointment afterwards. Are you still in time?
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to drop out now. I have a live stream with Mickey from World Mobile in a half an hour, and I need to be on that call in 10 minutes. So I'm going to grab a coffee and some food and straight back on. So thanks very much for the invite here. I really do appreciate it. It was great to learn more about the projects and different people here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Paul.
Having this great moderation was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll talk to you soon. And sorry again, I'm jumping out a bit early.
No, that's all cool.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Davide, go on.
No, just well, actually, not already repeated that, but as I wrote in chat, when I was writing my proposal, I was in contact with different professionals to understand who can take care of the task I need to be taken care together with me. And one of the parameters I chose before selecting them was the fact that they will have set also to be paid in ADA instead of in USD or in euro. So I think that if we trust in our ecosystem, we should also try to see if we can find ways to leverage ADA payment instead of USD when possible. Of course, it's not always possible, and you can pay all the service in ADA, but maybe professional collaborators, many of them are now willing to do that.
One question that comes to my mind is that how do you negotiate the prices with the freelancers there? Do you say it's an ADA, like in ADA bounties, or do you? I just assume they do that in ADA, or do you like when let's just assume the price crashes to 10 cents or so. Do you expect a freelancer to come across and say, I need more because that's what I try to live on?
Oh, that's possible. That's possible indeed. But usually, what happened with me was that they are, of course, proposing a price in dollars or in euro, and then they will accept the same equivalent in ETA. And we are, of course, having boundaries. We suppose that the price will be not much distant from what it is now in 2 months. So that will be the case.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Wonderful.
Yeah, going back to the other example, when the pound crashed, we had to update the salaries as well, right? Even with fiat, it was like, oh, we can't live off of this anymore. It shrunk by, what was it, 12-15%. It's like it's already a startup. We're already sort of like taking cuts, and it's like, no, we need to, and it really shortened our runway, right? Like 3 or 4 months. So it just happens.
Yeah, maybe that's something that we should see in those analysis as well. I don't know if you have that on the map, Simon or Noah.
What's up? What'd you ask for?
You need a hedge, right? Like that would be a nice thing if you, but nobody wants to hedge ADA, right? Because that would mean to sell ADA short, and so kind of don't do that exactly. So there's really no. I think guys, honestly, I think the best ultimate security system is a community. When things go really south, because then you can talk to each other and you can help each other, and you have the support system, right? It's like in any community. But I also love this thing that Noah was posting earlier, like the data bounties. Imagine how you could not only put out an automated catalyst report and put out the bounties, that you put it in there, and you would have like a full financial statement with transaction and where somebody was paid. Amazing. But yeah, I think we are, let's say, still 5 years away from that. Still, you could make that completely holistic. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's what I once said to our tax advisor. You should build the bookkeeping system on blockchain for the financial statements. That would make things so much easier. You could provide the keys then to the tax offices. There is some security implications, but this would actually be a nice idea. Yeah, completely understand that. We have to wrap it up here because I think we should keep the time somehow close. Otherwise, we're going back to our old long versions of the meetings, and we're all going back to the families. We have another thing that we want to say. We love Twitter Spaces in different languages, and we tried it before. We were struggling with the team size. So whenever you have somebody, or if you want to join or host a session in your language, just reach out to us, either on Discord or on Twitter. This is a good way to promote you and your project or the thing that is important to you. You're highly welcome, and we support you in that. Next up, we also have a little proposal in our idea scale on idea scale. We're not going to tell you what it is. We're going to want to increase engagement on idea scale. So just find EU Cardano and look for it. So best way to reach out to someone on the team would be just on Discord or email, tweet us a direct message on Twitter. We leave the links below the video, which will be uploaded then on YouTube as well. So I think that's about it. These are the handles. EU Cardano, we updated them on YouTube as well, on Twitter. LinkedIn, do we have that actually already? I don't know. We're not so active on there.
We do have an account, yeah. It's still active, but yeah, we're going to increase this in the next month. Yeah.
And maybe next time we should make another proposal to hire a social media manager for us, because there's too many things we have to publish here and there.
Yeah, and the link will guide you to Linktree. I think most of the links should still work. We will update that soon as well. And yeah, and Ricardo, closing words.
Yeah, maybe some of you already saw that. There was an email from the Cardano Foundation regarding this Cardano Summit 2023. Obviously, main stage in Dubai, but I think around about 20 other locations. For example, in Germany, there is a location in Düsseldorf. I think, yeah, it's a great opportunity to meet people, to get to know each other, strengthen the bonding in the community. And you can register, get your tickets. They will be sent as NFT, I understand, about 1 month prior to the event. Just give it a go, and hopefully we will see some of you during the events face-to-face in November.
I think Basti was also doing one from Sharepool in Berlin. I'm not 100% sure. So look at his profile too. And as a thank you, Theodora from Chef, he will have a little talk on Sunday in the XSPO server on Discord. So any SPO that is in the XSPO Alliance should be there and have a little listen. With that, I want to close out. Thank you everybody for being here, spending your time with us. Share the video, be nice to each other as always, and appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you
Take
a lot,
care.
guys. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.